The meaning of life is just to be alive. It is so plain and so obvious and so simple, and yet everybody rushes around in a great panic as if it were necessary to achieve something beyond themselves. Here I'm linking these two articles. We are told about this one soulmate. Soulmates don't have a single definition. Soulmates can be wounds, are signs, catalysts, companions, mirror, mysteries. They stay or they vanish. They arrive only to transform us and then they leave. They appear in scriptures, poetry, psychology, stories of ordinary lives. They bring joy and rupture. Soulmate is anyone to whom we recognize more of ourselves. Number two, more of divine. Number three, more of what it means to be alive. The meaning of life. Like we do our best to be alive. Halves wonder. But ancient myths and modern lives teach us about soulmate. It talks about the splitting. The best part is where these questions, what is the soulmate? In Islam or otherwise? Can we define a soulmate? Can a person have more than one soulmate? Who are the famous soulmates of history? How did their stories unfold? Does it always begin or end well, the soulmate relationship? Is their shared purpose more important than love? What does God say about soulmate? A true lover doesn't follow any one religion. Be sure of that, since in the religion of love there is no irreverence or fate. When in love, body, mind, heart, soul don't even exist. Become this love and you will not be separated again. Shetty, in which he was also talking about. Like there are three kinds of people. One group of people, you go with them to have fun. Other kind of people are which come for a reason in your life. Thinking both of these, his point too with this, like soulmate is not like you have to get married. Soulmate is not you just have this life, for example. So one soulmate? No. Psychology history tells something else. So soulmate can be a wound, sign, catalyst, companion, mirror, mystery. They come for a reason. Connect this alive with Alan Watts as well. They all are talking about the same thing. True lover doesn't follow any one religion. That, the more you study religion, the more you become non-religious. Like, it seems like there is this one divine religion. So, yes, you have to come out of this shell of religion in order to understand the spirituality. And yes, you have to come out of this shell in order to understand the consciousness. I'll link everything in the description box. I'll share all the resources so you can do your own research. So, the era of singleness and goddess, Venus. So, Maneesha talks about a season of singleness is not a curse, it is a blessing. Being able to spend time with yourself while knowingly, adoringly. And then she talks about becoming your own soulmate. Why are we always waiting for a husband to come or a wife to come to complete you? Which I will link with the Alan Watts video, the third. And tuning into the frequency, into your higher self. Being alive, meaning of life purpose, and finding your higher self, becoming your higher self. Few lines from her article. Ever wonder why society so openly celebrates relationships and marriages? Like this is the one way that your life has to be turned out. You have to follow this way. Relationships, friendships, marriages. My grandfather always asked, how many friends do you have? He is always into quantification. But I realized yesterday, I don't have a friendship or a relationship which is quieter, richer, and deeper. It's all noise. Since I have stopped meeting my friends or texting or phone calls, I have more clarity. Singleness is often rushed through and dismissed as something to get past. Get over your singleness. Just get married. Nikah fight. We rarely honor it as a holy, even though it carries its own depth and magic. Era of singleness is full of life, magic, and it's electric. Being single can sometimes feel uncomfortable, especially when we are always surrounded by the people who are in relationships. It may feel as though your life is on hold and as if you are caught between timelines, resting in a liminal space. But it is a mystical space. This article, it hit me, Then my aunts, my friends who love get married, have kids, but now they are realizing they are unhappy in their relationships because what are relationships to most of people, at least that I have observed, it's an escape. Everyone is trying to escape their self. Someone will come, will complete them. You suit me, I'll suit your emptiness. Healthy relationship can only inspire you, not really save you. It can create a softer environment for you, make you feel safer so you unwind. It is you who will have to do the inner work to become your most radiant self. If you are in your singleness season, think merging with your higher self your goal. Alive, goal 1, goal 2, higher self your goal. You become the most magnetic when you are one with your soul and not fragmented. Yeah, for that you need clarity. You need to come out of the projections of other people, the expectations they have from you. When you don't have an agenda, you become magnetic. Another way of looking at point 2 is another perspective of looking at it is clarity. You need that. You can at least I cannot have that. When I meet people, I talk with people, when I talk with them on phone calls, it's all like I'm absorbing others' projections, their expectations, their fear. They went through this, I will go through the same thing. And then there's this problem with us. We are always forcing others to be what we want, what we need, what we imagine, and we never forgive them for being themselves. We are the easiest to be recognized in a sea of souls when we are vibrating at the frequency of our soulmate, and the only way to do is by becoming our own soulmate first. What you want to attract, you have to become that. Become your own soulmate, tuning into their frequency, waiting in motion. The universe loves to give you more of what you are focused on. So what you are right now focused on? Scrolling, eating, fantasizing, doing nothing, giving your own whole energy to everyone else that you get when you sleep and your soul get recharged, and by the end of all these distractions you are left with no energy for yourself. Why awakened souls struggle with love? We think becoming more spiritual means less challenges, but actually becoming more spiritual means more challenges because you are most capable of handling them. Like becoming more spiritual doesn't mean you don't float around in perfect place. It's just, it becomes almost impossible to fall in, at least in the way you used to fall in love. Let's look at our relationships. Are the signs about swooning ruptures, extreme emotions, stressed out, feverish anticipation where you are restless and you are predicting his or her? Is your relationship about little dramas? It isn't that you have lost the capacity to love. Love just become for awakened souls more richer, more quieter, and more deeper. It's all noise that I have. The whole game of projection of pursue just doesn't work anymore. You can't unsee what you have seen. Again, linking it with the Merlin season. In psychology, projection is a defense mechanism where individuals attribute their own undesirable traits, what I don't like inside myself, or my feelings or impulses to others, often unconsciously. For example, so here's a therapist and here is me. I don't admit it, but I am bitter. And now I'm projecting it onto therapist. My therapist is very bitter. Subconscious is to conscious, that's being is to soul. What passes for romance is hungry selves making arrangements with one another. So there you are, alive, awake, full of wonder, and at the same time utterly unable to fall in love in the way the world has so long instructed you ought to do. Falling in love is a curious kind of hypnosis. Meet someone, mind becomes to weave like spider spreading web of two things, desire and projection. What is projection? Projection is a defense mechanism where individuals attribute their own undesirable traits, feelings, impulses to others. Until you're no longer relating to that person anymore, but with tapestry of your imagination, your thoughts, your fantasizing alone, then quite intoxicated by your own creation. It's all in your head, brain, thoughts. You say, I'm in love. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Notice the oddity, much of this so-called love thrives not on presence but on absence. It burns brightest when the beloved is away and there is uncertainty, when one's left in the delicious torment of longing. A love that feeds on hunger, not on wholeness, sweet madness. You see, ego is very clever in disguising it as love. Ego calls it passion, ego calls it love. Ego dresses it in fine love, trembling glances. Yet at bottom, what ego is saying, that I am incomplete, that I want you to make me whole. That is not love, but need. As long as love is mistaken for need, it will forever waver like a flame that only survives as long as fuel of insecurity is supplied. It's you admitting you are incomplete. And if you can't complete yourself, how are you sure that someone externally will come and complete you? being away versus being present, being in hunger, in madness versus wholeness, the uncertain path, longing. Most of what we been taught to admire about romance is precisely this subtle bargain. Subtle means something difficult to analyze. A secretive exchange. I will soothe your emptiness if you will soothe my emptiness, which is why after the first intoxication fades, when you are out of that intoxication period, so many find themselves this illusion, asking themselves whether they ever loved them at all. Merely struck a deal without signing a contract. Now, awakening is mysterious. It is simply the moment when the veil just flips and you see the machinery of whole performance, a theater. It's a triangle between the self, the ego, the desire. Endless game that they play. You notice how what you once called love is often entangled with being alone. We just simply don't like being alone. The silence eats us from inside, longing, the projections. And when the recognition dawns, you can't fall through it quite blindly as before. Spell is broken, not because you reject love, but because you now see it counterfeit forms for what they are. For the awakened eye, the illusions that once passed for love no longer hold the same power. Where before you might have sworn to find your missing half, now you see more plainly. A human being with their own joys, with their own shadows. The enchantment of imagining them your savior, your completion begins to dissolve. And with the vision, the old spell of romance no longer sweeps you off your feet. What once quite seems like fun now feels like smoke. Cravings once felt irresistible now feels like flimsy. A paperboard on YOURSELF. The thrill of pursuit, the drama of waiting, the agony of uncertainty. All these look faintly absurd beside the stillness you have tasted within yourself. It's not that you despise them, it is you no longer mistake them for love. See, once it dawns on you that whole business is a kind of plague, you find it very difficult to go on pretending that it's deadly serious. Of course, you can still enjoy the performance, the tears, the embraces, but you know it now, it's theater, it's not ultimate truth. That's what the world calls romance begins to lose its glamour, the illusion collapse. The image once taken deadly serious is just a game with that recognition, and you step out of the trance to something only more spacious. Once you have tasted awakening, the whole texture of love changes. You no longer carry that knowing hunger to be completed by another, because you know now no one can fulfill you but yourself. You are already whole, formed by the same light that gave you birth. It's precisely this wholeness that makes the old way of love so difficult. Not fullness, just emptiness. It was the ache of loneliness, fear of being unseen, attention seeker, that gave such fire for romance. But when you are awakened, the fire no longer burns the same way. You are no longer chasing someone to fill the hole in your heart because the hole is gone. The old drama, which one once felt so intoxicated, now strangely feels hollow. The storm once seen, excited, looks like nonsense now. Now you have discovered the calm of the sea. Notice how ordinary romance depends on blindness. Little lies we tell ourselves, illusions we willingly embrace. Awakening strips those blindfolds away. You see too clearly, bargain hidden beneath the walls, promises that we do, is the ego. Secret tricks emasculated as devotion. Once you see, you cannot unsee. The old way love works, a theater. You have to come out of that illusion. You have to come out of that intoxication. And then by replacing fear of unknown with curiosity, we open ourselves up to an infinite stream of possibility. We can let fear rule our lives, or we can become childlike with curiosity, pushing our boundaries, leaping out of our comfort zones and accepting what life puts before us.